What if you could make one decision to unleash everything great in your life? Would you do it? Would you say yes? Are you tired of your relationships, your health, and so much more suffering because you lack the truth you need to change? The life you desire is within your reach. You can achieve all the success, happiness, and prosperity you deserve by simply learning the secrets that lead to real personal transformation. Change is hard, but not impossible. You just have to make one radical decision to get real. And there's no better authority on the real steps to change than David G. Evans.
Some men trust in chariots. Some men trust in horses. But we will trust in the Lord.
David G. Evans is leading the charge to bring you the power to change your life. He is committed to the mission of helping you transform and become a person of power, and it starts with his all-new system to change your situation. At the centerpiece of this life-altering collection is David Evans' groundbreaking training course. From ridiculous to radical to real, this means war. In this series, you will discover the steps to change. This series includes 2 powerful messages, each on winning the battle in your mind and cultivating a language of faith. That's 4 messages, 4 power-filled hours of material. If you want a better marriage, this series has the answers. If you want to achieve financial independence God's way, the secrets in this series will empower you to make it happen. If you want a life of power, anointing, and influence, this series will show you how to get it, and there's more. You're looking for serious, immediate results. So Bishop Evans will also include one of his best-selling messages called Weapon of Warfare. This classic teaching will build you up to start fighting in the spirit for what you deserve. This powerhouse collection, from ridiculous to radical to real, and Weapon of Warfare, will give you all the biblical strategies you need to change anything in your life. This collection will ship to you immediately with your gift today to David G. Evans Ministries. This ministry is revolutionizing the kingdom by empowering believers. Souls are being saved daily, and we need your help to grow this impact in a real way. Call now and sow your seed of just $35 for your transformation to help people around the world. Your $35 love gift goes straight to the front lines of ministry, providing help to those that need it most. Call now. Make the decision to get the power you need to change your life forever.
It's now easier than ever to stay connected with David G. Evans and the Bethany Baptist Church family. Follow the ministry and rejoice in all that God is doing by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. On Facebook, you'll be up to date on the latest happenings. You can watch our Sunday services on Facebook Live, 8 and 11 a.m. Eastern.
Here comes the power. Hallelujah.
Words of wisdom and encouragement can be found on Twitter, and you'll get up-to-the-minute sermon points as they happen in our weekly worship services. Follow us on Instagram and be blessed by the inspirational and special moments that are highlighted each week, and meet the people who are the heart of our ministry. And if it's video you want, subscribe to the Bethany Baptist Church channel on YouTube. See the celebrations, the special events, and the many, many people who are helping to transform lives one at a time. Stay connected with David G. Evans on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and become a member of our broadcast family today.
Well, praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to OnPointe, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America. Live every Saturday morning on any smart device at David G. Evans 1. That's at David G. Evans 1. Won't you share with someone right now, invite someone to join us for always stimulating conversations, always from a kingdom perspective, but always relevant to cultural, political, social issues that we are facing today. So give us a call, 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267, and share this information with others so they can join us also. Our world-famous co-host, Reverend Nicholas Smith, is here today.
Hi.
You all right? Okay. He's here today, and he will be right back. Our wonderful staff is here today, and we're glad you're joining us as people begin to join us by way of stream from all over the world, some listening, some viewing and listening, of course. But you can see us live. This is live feed. It's not pre-recorded. All our conversations are live, not delayed. So we get a fresh sound, fresh insights. I believe we have some of the most intelligent spiritual callers in the nation as they weigh in on the various issues that we have to face every day of our lives. So I thank you for joining us today. A lot going on in the news, a lot going on in politics. We are watching what looks like millions of people standing in line 5 and 6 hours to vote. My interpretation of that is that, once again, the American people's consciousness has been misread, and they thought by making it difficult for people to vote that would make them stay home. But you have a hard time with America telling us what we can't do. And it's like that wet paint sign. Put up there, we just have to touch it. So you got people standing in line. You have people standing in line for hours and hours simply to exercise their right to vote. And a lot of it is motivated, I think, because people are trying to deny it. Trying to keep people from voting, and they're determined that they're going to. But also, I think it indicates the intensity of the passion connected not just to the election, but to the temperature, if you will, of our nation, to the tenor of our nation. And I think what you're seeing is that response. I think we saw a response after President Obama left office, and people began to react out of frustrations, historic hurts, insecurities, whatever you want to call it. And the 4 years that have ensued have been very challenging for everyone, either from a psychological point of view, a cultural point of view, a business point of view, whatever you want to call it. It's been challenging. And now we're seeing people react again. And it's going to be a referendum. What I'm not clear about, and one of my strongest friends who is a staunch Republican called me last night. Mm-hmm. And I've got to call him today because I am itching to have a conversation with him about, and he's a black Republican, mm-hmm. Has been since the Bush era. Mm-hmm. And I want to hear what he has to say about where we are. Yep. We have that kind of friendship where we can talk about these things. We've talked about every president coming into office, mm-hmm. and that did not exclude this president that we presently sit under now. But I want to hear what his interpretation is. Yeah. Because he's sure enough saved, mm-hmm. and he's a business person, and he's a conservative, mm-hmm. and a lot of what he's staunch pro-life, like we are. Sure. But he's also an African American man that had to overcome the systemic challenges that come along with being African American in our society. So. Sure. I'm anxious to talk to him today, but we want to talk to you about what's on your heart today as it relates to the upcoming election, Amy Coney Barrett's nomination, which I don't want to be premature, but her seat on the court. That's what I really want to call it.
Yeah, they're going to push her through.
Oh yeah, she's going to.
I didn't know she was a judge for only 3 years.
That's all. It doesn't matter to them.
3.
It doesn't matter to them. I think that alone is a travesty.
Yeah.
When you have judges that have been serving for a long time, mm-hmm. but she obviously said the right things. Mm-hmm. They're overcoming her 3 years. They say at least 90 of her peers at the college that she teaches at, told her not to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're telling her this is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't care.
But she's,
how are you an originalist? Now, she's a constitutional originalist, and she wants to interpret it the way it was written. But the people that wrote it understood that it was supposed to change over time.
Yeah.
That's what the person who wrote it said that.
Yeah.
So, and why are you going to judge an old document? It's not divinely inspired by God either.
No, it isn't.
From 1770 something to 2020.
The cultural context is remarkably different now.
Yeah.
But here's my major problem with her. I expect if you are a constitutionalist and you are bragging about how you're an originalist and a constitutionalist, why can't you answer a constitutional question during your hearing?
Exactly.
You're a constitutionalist and you don't want to give your opinion on what the law says.
Right.
She's not being asked to interpret it.
Right.
Do you agree or disagree with what it says?
Yeah.
Well, that would put me in a position where I would have to interpret so and so.
Yeah.
You know, almost like she's in at the hearing and answering because she doesn't want to displease the guy that's sponsoring her.
Yeah. And she's playing it right, just like Kavanaugh did. And it just baffles me how just so public they are about it.
Yeah.
And
They don't care.
yeah, and yeah.
And I don't think they're worried about. Have they figured the American public out to the extent? Have they discerned a little deeper than we have that they're going to lie to their own party right now, turn around and tell them something different in about a month or so, and their own party will not hold them accountable for what they said?
I really think if they lose, they're trying to push her through. So if they lose, they at least they get her. And they're gonna work it around.
You know what? I'm also a little troubled about. I'm troubled by how much work a new administration is going to have to do to reverse some of this stuff that our present administration did, that set us back environmentally, that set us back socially. They relaxed some of the laws that are going to actually allow businesses to take advantage of consumers. I mean, they since President Trump's school got nailed because of the law, he reversed it so those schools would no longer be responsible for offering curriculums and having people pay the cost for that curriculum, and the curriculum not delivering what it says it's going to do. It reversed all of that. His thing is just rip them off.
Yeah, literally, and just let it go.
I resent the fact that a whole lot of work is going to have to be done to reverse, especially the environmental things.
Yeah.
And I wonder, and I'm going to ask my buddy this today, are Republicans not concerned with the environment?
Yeah.
And that's a straight question that I'd like to have them answer. Because, there are a couple things that are just so obvious.
Yeah.
Climate change is obvious. The reduction in our forest in the nation is obvious. The way it changes the wildlife balance is obvious.
Yep.
I mean, it's just,
Yep.
The way we're polluting things, it's just obvious.
Yep. And forgetting that God called us to be stewards
Of creation.
Of the creation.
Yes, he did.
Adam's job was
The first job.
Steward creation. But when money comes in there,
I don't understand. So is there no concern for the conditions of the world, of the country? Let's talk about the country, because not every country in the world has the same view we do.
Right.
Is there no concern about the country environmentally that our children will inherit?
Yeah. Their view is God's going to take care of it. One of those things, put it back on God.
That's not the Bible.
Right. Somebody else said something that a lot of...
He didn't say, I'm going to put you guys in the garden and I'll tend and till it.
Right.
He said, you
Y'all
guys tend and till it.
Yep. Somebody said something years ago. The way a lot of these conservative Christians interpret the Bible, they interpret it, this is going to sound crazy,
Okay.
from strictly a Pauline New Testament viewpoint.
Oh, that's not crazy.
But Paul references the Old Testament so much. That's what I think is so crazy.
They missed that part. I know preachers.
Yeah.
I know preachers that rarely, if ever, touched the Old Testament.
Yep.
Because they came out of schools,
Mm-hmm.
they basically told them it was irrelevant.
Yeah.
So I think they're teaching and preaching an incomplete revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do you talk about the fruit and not talk about the tree that bore it?
Right.
It's just so simple.
Right. And the Bible's so much more than Paul. I mean, it's like,
Well, and here's the deal.
like
Jesus said, I didn't come to destroy you.
Yep.
I came to make it more visible to you.
Mm-hmm.
So the nature of the tree is revealed in the New Testament.
Yep.
The fruit of the New Testament. So I don't get that theological point of view where Paul is the only one that has something to say.
Right. Yep.
But the Bible says that all of it is divinely inspired.
All of it.
So when do we get to throw part away?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what they have an issue with African Americans. Most of us, well, because of culture, our view of scripture is from more Moses type.
Okay.
The liberation part of it.
Okay.
Jesus coming to liberate.
That speaks to people.
That speaks to people. But if those combined together make up the whole of scripture. And I don't see us denying what Paul says
No.
in what, rest of the New Testament people put together. It's more of a holistic look, but they're like, Paul didn't talk about it.
Paul references, like you said,
Yeah.
Paul references the Old Testament
All the
more than
time.
any New Testament writer. He does it all the time.
And he calls it the scriptures.
Yes.
He doesn't say the Old Testament. He said in the scriptures. That's what he calls it.
I know.
It is written here.
I don't get it, man. But I think it takes a little bit of faith, a little bit more faith, to comprehend the miracles of the Old Testament.
Yeah. Yeah.
To accept them.
Mm-hmm.
New Testament, they're more human oriented.
Okay.
I think God is showing his dominion authority over the human condition.
Yeah.
But then in the Old Testament, he's showing that the stuff he made is the stuff he has control of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I control these oceans.
Yeah.
I control these rivers.
Mm-hmm.
I can do what I want with a valley because I made it. I mean, he's so foundational in the Old Testament that to ignore it is to miss part of the greatness of the Bible.
Exactly.
But I believe it may have parts of it have a need for faith for real, instead of just acceptance.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm. So they start rationalizing, not realizing that Paul, I think in Galatians, was actually refuting that thought process, that the God of the Old Testament is different than the God of the New Testament. It's all the same God.
All the same God.
And they're doing that now, looking at like, well, this is how God did stuff then. But it's all the same story of God. It's like,
yeah. So they disagree with part of God.
that's the thing that
They're
puzzles me.
rejecting part of God.
Yeah. In their mind,
The part that doesn't fit into. It's like a slave owner loving salvation, but hating the deliverance parts of the Bible.
So they're used to it.
Tom's on the phone.
Yeah.
Let's talk to him. Good morning, Tom. How you doing?
Good morning, Bishop. Good morning, Brother
Hey, Tom,
Nick.
how you doing?
Two things. You were saying something about the Constitution and constitutionalists, and things may not always be as they should or change. That's why there are 27 amendments.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why they call it an amendment.
Yeah, literally.
That's the way they change it. I mean, they knew when they wrote it, and like I said, we've done it 27 times. So, I don't think that should be any big shock. And the other thing was, Savannah Guthrie the other night checked our president.
I didn't see it, did she?
Oh, the one when she asked him a direct question about retweeting. She said, Mr. President, you retweeted this. And he goes, well, I really didn't know what it was. And, he gave her some really cocked, Mamie's story. And she said, you're the president, not somebody's crazy uncle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Those were
And he called her cutie or something like that.
Yeah, but she actually said, you are the president, not somebody's crazy uncle.
Whoa.
Oh, she got him on the QAnon, I believe,
QAnon.
where they're saying
QAnon,
that,
yeah.
is that Hillary was a child molester and Democrats were into all this.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't know what they are. I don't know. And he goes, Mr. President, you know. And
He knows what he's doing. That's why he's talking about it.
Yeah, she checked him. He said, well, just, you know, I just told you. He said, well, you think that's fact because you said so? I mean, she checked him and checked him. It was amazing.
She's a former attorney.
Oh, she did not sit down and just take the abuse. It was toe to toe. I enjoyed watching her.
But most people don't challenge him on those crazy points.
Yeah.
He's used to saying anything to anybody, and the people in his immediacy do not challenge him, whether it's factual. Matter of fact, they've made excuses for his strays from the fidelity of the truth, and just said, you know, you can't believe. I saw Miss Conway say, you can't take him literally.
Wow.
So you can't believe what the leader of the nation says.
That's not leadership.
You can't take him literally, is what she said.
Yeah, there was a supporter who said something about wearing masks, and he came up with, you know, what? There was a survey that came out yesterday that said 85% of people who wear masks still get it. And again, Severe Guthrie, I know that's what you're talking about. That was 1 out of hundreds, Mr. President, and you know that's not true. And he said, there you go again. And,
He said, there you go again?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Oh, she was checking him like every time he said something that was a lie. To where usually they just go over it and don't say anything. She fact checked him constantly.
Well, I find it amazing that he has obviously grown into this age of his life, not being accustomed to anyone that cares for him saying, "Dad, I don't think you need to say that."
Yeah.
I'm blown away that his own children don't say, "Dad."
They just like him.
Yeah, I know. You know,
Just like him.
I mean, your teenagers normally will check you. You know, I mean, your second and third graders will check you.
Right.
But that's not what you said at home. You said, you know, do X, Y, and Z.
This is a little different subject, but talking about being checked. I'm not a real fan of Al Sharpton, but I saw him on an interview once about losing weight and his change in attitude. And he said, my daughter's checked me.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, that was the change. His daughter told him he needed to chill out, lose some weight, and that's why he is. He said that. He said it on the air.
I'm not a LeBron James fan, but one night he had a horrible playoff game. And he said he was sitting at the breakfast table eating some cereal, and one of his children came through and slapped him in the back of the head and said, "What happened last night?" I think he came out and scored 45.
Right.
Kids would do that.
Yo, Dad, what's up with last night?
I give it to LeBron. Been balling out since he's
Has
turned
he?
it on a whole nother level, man.
Okay.
He's matured more.
Well, he needed to.
Yeah,
I think it's a welcome thing.
he's matured more.
He's past I'm the greatest player in the world.
No, he still
still says that?
after they won.
Oh.
He said, now y'all gonna finally give me some respect.
Oh,
I'm like, bruh, you still
come
on this?
man.
You still on this, man? Let it go.
He's comparing himself to Jordan.
And the next day he posted the Instagram picture of him watching the Bulls. He's after that 6. But I don't care. He's still not better than Jordan. I'll take Jordan over LeBron every single day of my life.
And he'd be better off letting somebody else toot his horn.
Absolutely. But they don't do that today.
No.
Yeah.
It's too slow of a process.
Yep.
And the boasting, which is why the Lord tells us not to do it,
Yeah.
actually is false strength.
Yep.
Boasting is making myself feel strong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm getting strength from another individual, and I've turned myself into an idol.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to be careful not to boast because it reveals how I'm viewing myself.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you remember that, Phil. I will. Tom, thank you, man.
Hey, thank you. You guys have a great day.
Talk to you. 866-743-8267. 866-743-8267. This is On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America. Live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on any smart device. Why don't you give us a call? Let's talk today. Let's talk. Now, Pastor Nick.
Yes, sir.
I understand that Wall Street has sent a message to its contemporaries. Mm-hmm. We have gotten what we want from this president. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to shift away from him.
Really?
Yes. Yes. We've gotten what we want. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to shift away.
Interesting.
Yes, sir. I was surprised when the bird brought the
message.
Yeah, the message to me. I was like, yo.
But can they stop the people, his constituents, from coming out? Because they don't poll, but they come out though.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That told me something.
Mm.
Money drives these elections.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Money drives them. And did you see Senator Whitehouse identify how Amy Barrett got to the seat?
No.
He did this thing with display charts and showed the money cycle to get a nominee to the court, and how those same organizations were putting judges in seats around the nation.
I do believe that, yeah.
He showed it with, there was no equivocation. The Republicans never rebuked him.
Okay.
Because he said some of my colleagues have benefited from these organizations.
Absolutely.
He was naming them. He showed the cycle of how the money pushes into these judicial seats. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. You can bring it up.
Yeah.
You will love it.
Yeah. Okay. That's why Mitch McConnell all came out and said that Obama's last year, he purposely stopped all those judges from being appointed.
Yep.
He's right on TV, had no care at all.
Nope.
For a whole year and some change, we're not doing nothing. Because he knew Trump came in, they was going to do all of it.
Mitch McConnell.
And he's probably one of the richest congressmen.
Isn't he from Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
That has like a poverty rate that's appalling. And they keep voting for him?
As long as, again, the racial vote, as long as he's against abortion and as long as he's keeping the America they want.
They're voting against their own interests.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Let's go to Danny from Florida. Good morning, Danny. How you doing?
Good morning, Bishop. How's everything? How you doing, Pastor Nick staff?
Thanks, sir.
Good to hear from you, man.
Yes.
How's things down in Florida this morning?
Well, we're supposed to be in a dry season, but it's still doing that afternoon rain, and some days it's raining all day. So
now, when I was young, and maybe this is climate change, you guys can tell me the scientific term. When I was young, and we would go to see my great-grandmother in Jacksonville, it predictably rained every afternoon in Florida.
That's correct.
And it would rain for maybe 15, 20 minutes.
And stop.
Sun would come out, dry everything up, and that's how things stayed green. You guys seem to be experiencing something different now.
Yes. The temperatures are consistent. We're still touching 90 degrees.
Okay.
It's supposed to be cooling down, but it's not. And we're getting the storms just forming. There's a time traditionally when they would come off of Africa, but if you notice now, they're forming either in the Gulf of Mexico or right around the Yucatan Peninsula, somewhere in there, and then coming up. And they're following the same direct path into the United States, which is around Texas, Louisiana, and there. We've been blessed to be bypassed by some of the storms, because I know personally we're just recovering from 2 years, a hurricane 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
and I know here in New Jersey, there are still some people waiting for their aid from the hurricane that devastated the shore region.
Yes.
You know, I was amazed that when the hurricane was actually happening here, I had friends of mine texting me from literally around the globe asking, was I okay? And I'm like, well, what's going on? Let me turn the news on.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned the news on, and the news was giving the impression that New Jersey was awash in seawater. You know, I'm like, wow, guys. No, all we're getting here is a little rain and some wind. And they were shocked. They were concerned.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful how we have to interpret the news and the weather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we always hear in this area, whenever someone's impacted by that, we sympathize with them because we go through it all the time, and it's just a way of living. When you dodge that and you just try to prepare for the worst, you know, and you hope for the best. And it's something to go through that, because we could go through 20, 30 years without being hit. But when you do get hit, here in Florida, it is it's bad. It's bad.
And I used to think that the weather people, meteorologists, that they were, you know, hit and miss, until I went to a World Series. Go to a World Series. I didn't know most ballparks have their own meteorologists.
Mm-hmm.
And not just somebody couldn't get on network TV. Mm-hmm. They have their own equipment, own meteorologists. And Phil, I watched them time the storm to the minute, beginning and ending. I said, wait a minute. They started rolling the tarp out before the water started coming down. Then the water came down. The guys went out, started rolling it up, and the storm was ending. I said, this is too much.
Yeah.
So, and we get the prognostication.
Yeah.
But the guys that make their living dealing with weather, they've got it down to a science. So that thing we get is it might do.
Right, yeah.
But at the ballpark, it's going to do it at 8:03. And it happened.
They deal with the 2-hour window.
Doc.
And they can be very accurate with that
Doc,
2-hour window.
the accuracy was astounding.
What I wanted to ask you and Pastor Nick, and get your input on something, and that I've been observing and watching the election, the way that things are going, is that the way that they are trying to suppress the vote by not making it convenient for us to have polling facilities in certain areas, certain locations, certain neighborhoods where they're not easily accessible.
Right.
And like I explained to you last week, on the 5th of this month was the last day for us to register here in Florida.
Okay.
Mysteriously, the computers went down all day.
I remember you telling us that.
Right. So I noticed in other parts of the country where there's long lines where people have to wait all day just to go to vote. But I'm proud to see that they're persistent and staying and waiting it out. So give me some feedback on that, Bishop.
Well, I may have asked you this before, but there's a question that pops up in my head, and I need you to shed some light on it. Do you think your governor is concerned about a career after President Trump is out of office, either now or later?
No, I don't know what's wrong with him. I think that he made...
Is his first name Ron or Wrong?
No, Ron.
I call him Wrong DeSantis.
Right, wrong. But he is vice president to the vice president.
I don't understand how he's making so many decisions that are absolutely detrimental to the people he's governing. So he can impress someone else.
He gave some things away before the president even was cured of the illness that he supposedly had.
Okay.
Because the question was asked, how does this affect the campaign and also some of the engagements that are planned for Florida? He said, well, I'm not concerned about that because I can't say right now, but we will see him.
Wow. He really doesn't care about you all.
No. And the amazing thing is that in certain neighborhoods, certain areas, he doesn't even know what they look like. He couldn't tell you because he doesn't meet.
It's funny how, with our former governor, did you hear it?
Oh yeah.
He came on. He came on and finally said,
intensive care.
I wasn't looking at this thing correctly. I was wrong about my interpretation of the seriousness of this thing. And what appalled me about that, how many people have to die before you realize that this thing is serious. I mean, it's 18,000 folk. And the governor says, watch this, and I've been saying it for weeks, Pastor Nick. The governor says, I did not realize how serious this thing was. 200 some odd thousand people died, and you're saying now that you caught it and had to be in intensive care for a week.
Right.
That suddenly I see no compassion for the people that have passed away.
Yep.
Only now a sensitivity because it laid his behind up in the hospital for 7 days.
Yep.
God has a way.
I don't get it. And Giuliani actually said this thing is not serious just the other day.
Because they're out there
He's still
toting
saying
Trump,
that.
thinking because he got over it.
How many people have to die?
That's the thing. Yep. And y'all don't have the same drugs that he gets.
Right.
They're not going to get the same care the president's going to get. But I talked to a couple physicians. There's no way they threw that blanket of medicine at him, and he was not very ill. They threw it all at him at the same time.
He had 8 doctors taking care of
We're
him.
not having 8
And then the situation is that
in one of the
I'm
top
looking-
hospitals in the world. Hospitals in the world. Yeah.
And I'm looking at the veterans that go to VA hospitals.
Yeah, man. Not getting that kind of
They
care.
can't. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
No. I you know what? I hope that this transition comes quickly, swiftly, and we can start caring about people again. Because this last 4 years has been money driven, and that does not always mean you're worried about what happens to people.
Yep. And I mean, they're touting it now. He came out to that Macho Man song because their whole thing is that
Come
Trump is
on.
strong. He kicked COVID's
Come
behind.
on,
He's stronger than
come
COVID. And
Come
his
on.
his folk are all.
Come on. They didn't give him 8 drugs or 9 drugs or 10 drugs, and he wasn't sick. And they're saying now he had the pneumonia from it. Okay.
And come to find out that the whole White House, the whole staff, has come down with
Look,
it.
man.
Even the
His son
Joint
had it.
Chiefs of Staff.
It's a petri dish, man. Now, what happened with the Joint Chiefs? I know they were in confinement. Did they get the diagnosis yet?
I don't know. Check this thing.
You can't. I don't care if no one in the White House got it. If the White House was absolutely clear, you cannot discount 200 some odd thousand Americans dying from COVID and say it's not serious. What are you telling the mourning families? What are you saying to the families of those people who couldn't go to the hospital and see their loved ones pass away? I mean, couldn't support them.
Yep.
You know, for a minute there, people couldn't go to funerals. And I know someone that went to one and now has COVID. You know, so it's just an amazing dynamic to me. How's my sister doing?
She's tremendously blessed. Tremendously blessed.
Is that because she's with you, or are you saying because the Lord's good to her? Oh, boy. Tell her I said hello, man.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Be blessed.
Talk to you. We got Angela from Kentucky. Hey, Angela.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Doing pretty good. Good morning to Pastor Nick as well.
Hi.
I heard you guys talking about, of course, Kentucky today.
Absolutely.
And yes, and a couple of things. First, with Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, please tell me why he keeps getting reelected.
You know, this is just what I think. So this is just my opinion on why he keeps getting reelected.
Okay, what is it?
But in this area, there's a lot of rural areas in Kentucky. You know, being the farm industry and everything, and the coal miners and the farmers and all of that. And Mitch McConnell really connects with that rural population.
Are they
And
wealthy?
Are they wealthy?
Yeah, I'm being facetious.
No. Most of the rural workers are not all that wealthy. Now, the horse industry people are very wealthy.
Absolutely.
So we know why they are on board with him. But this is what I think. Back during the time where slavery was happening and going on, one of the things they were able to do, and I'm talking about the rich, that profited on the lives of slaves, was to set poorer Caucasians over African American people.
Yeah.
So they convinced that the lower class Caucasians that they were better than the African American people, so that they could help so that the slave owners could get the help of those less fortunate to make them feel better about themselves, putting them over African Americans. Yeah. I think the same thing is still going on today.
Absolutely.
They come and appeal to that base saying, we're America, and, we're going to make it great again, and we're going to pretty much make it white again because it's so amazing to be white. And it's that same mentality that they still adhere to.
Right.
Even though they know that Mitch McConnell has been paid forever very well. He many times voted against raising the minimum wage, but he voted many times to raise his own salary.
Yep.
I don't see why that doesn't resonate with people. But his interest, when it's voting time, he then pulls that card out like, we have to stand together because what's happening with this nation. It's becoming brown and black, and we're losing power, and, they're going to hurt us. They're going to do this to us, and appeals to that fear and keeps that base very solid and very on his side.
Absolutely.
They actually had a parade. Trump had a parade in Lexington a couple of days back, and I don't know what I was doing. I must have been in my prayer closet because I missed the whole shebang. But what I heard was they were circling one of the major highways, flags waving, people blowing, screaming, vote for Trump, this whole thing. And the people that I know, the urban part of Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky, are blue. It's not red.
Right.
So, the people that look like me, the brown and black people in Lexington and Louisville, do not vote Republican, but our numbers are so small. That's why we remain a red state.
Okay.
But they were talking about how they would just, flying these flags, these Confederate flags, and screaming out the window, and Billy Bob and the cowboy hats and the deer killer trucks were just blazing around New Circle Road in some kind of parade because of Trump. And I think that the reason that they feel so emboldened to him is because he makes them feel more important to those that he's trying to oppress.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
LBJ was right. He said if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the black man, you can take money out of his pocket and he'll vote for you every time. Still vote for you.
That's the same mentality.
If you can make the poor white man feel better than the black person or immigrant, they will continue to stay on your side. And that's how they keep them poor.
That's exactly how they keep them poor.
So I don't have to improve your condition. I just have to give you the impression that I see you as superior to other people.
Yep. And they're afraid of the browning of America. They say in 20 years, whites are not going to be the majority, and they are scared.
And I've also heard that
what I think the fear comes from them hoping we won't treat them like they've treated us.
Exactly. And we're not like that, though.
No, we're not like that at all.
Yeah.
Exactly. Most people are not in for revenge. We just want justice. We just want equality. We're not trying to do to you what you did to me. We're trying to get out from under this level of oppression just so that we can prosper.
But Pastor Nick taught me a while ago that when I've been in charge, equality feels like oppression.
Yes.
If I've been in charge, equality does not feel like equality to me. It feels like you're taking something away from me. Not just giving something to others, but you're taking it away from me.
And that's why they're spinning all this stuff. And anytime a black person talks about race, they now call them a racist. Not just for having the conversation, not and then that whole
playing the race card, is that what that is?
Playing the race card.
Okay.
That's their whole thing of you guys are going to do to us what we did to y'all.
But I think that the underbelly of that is that racism does not like to be confronted in anyone.
Right.
It does not like to be confronted, and when you confront it, I believe that you have touched an offense that already exists in the individual.
Right.
Which is why when people that are racist are called out on it, they are more comfortable with being it rather than you recognizing it. And they don't really care if you notice it. They just don't want you to say anything about it, which gives them the impression that it's all right to oppress other people.
Right.
Look, I got called somebody, you know, why are you playing the race card? I'm like, I was telling the person, like,
people that they want to oppress. They want everybody to believe that black and brown people are violent and non-working and a threat, and you know, have all these things attached to it. They want to believe every negative stereotype so that they can keep their base in fear and on their side.
You know what? Let's adjust that a little bit. I believe there are too many people of color working in their companies, helping them make these billions of dollars. So I don't think they want to do anything but create the perception that brown people are violent, and because they know by those that they have working in their businesses that the majority of our people, brown people in the country, are working people, tax paying folk, house buying, children raising, sending to school kind of people.
But he's a racist. Makes no
Keep
sense.
that perception. So watch this. So that some of our people buy the perception and become the perception, and then, yes, it happens just like that. Keep those things. Watch it. When MTV came along, MTV originally did not have a plethora of African American artists on there.
Correct.
You couldn't find them. I think Michael Jackson may have broken through.
He was the first major one.
Yeah. They saw they could make money, and then they began to let the other stuff on, and it helped perpetuate the perception, and a perception that we buy into.
Wow.
Because trying to imitate those lifestyles without the responsibility of those lifestyles, we have issue with emulating things that are not good for us as a whole.
Wow.
You know, so because a rap video about education is not going to have 100 million views.
Not now. Back in the 80s it did, but not now.
Not now. Not
now. Right. That's true.
Not going to happen.
Wow. Wow. And a quick word about Amy Connor Barrett. She's obviously very smart.
Yes.
So you can't take that away from her. The young lady is very smart, but she's very slippery.
Oh, yeah.
And that slipperiness just leaves me unsettled.
Well, in order to leave you more than unsettled, in order to leave you knocked down, because what I think is, you know, I am not, where are her two children of color from?
I have no idea. I just found out she had them.
That's not, I think they're from Nigeria.
Yeah.
That's not geeking me at all.
And she said that somebody using the N-word on a job is not considered something hostile to a work
So she does
environment.
not see her children as black children.
That's my thing. Your child gonna get called that. What you gonna say then?
What's she gonna say then?
Yes.
And I bet you they've been called that.
I'm sure.
Exactly. And you know, in that circle, they're going to be called that.
I didn't think they were African American children. I don't know what is wrong
They're
with the
from
consciousness.
Haiti.
What's the consciousness of people that adopt a melanin colored individual from another country and don't see them as black people?
Yep.
I don't get it.
I have friends with interracial children, and until they had interracial children, they didn't see the world that way.
Absolutely.
But only when they married a person of color or had children of color did they see the reality of being a person of color in this country. So if she's not married to that person and had those children, she's still going to have her own views, and those children are going to suffer because of her view of the world versus their view of the world.
And what happens is she may try to she only has two choices: raise them with consciousness, or raise them not to think that their color represents to people. Because nobody's looking at you and asking you what country you come from. They're looking at you and immediately saying, Black, white, Hispanic. That Asian. It's not a you're black but you're from Haiti, and then you don't run into this stuff in Jamaica.
Yep.
Everybody's Jamaican down there.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what color your skin is.
Yep.
Everybody's Jamaican. I didn't know that till I was riding on a plane with a person.
Yeah.
And the person sitting next to me said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah." "What's wrong with you guys in the United States?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "We've got Germans in Jamaica, we've got white folk in Jamaica, we've got Hispanics in Jamaica, we've got Jamaicans in Jamaica. But the one thing is we're all Jamaican." He said, you're all divided up. Why aren't you just all American? Because in Jamaica, everybody's Jamaican.
Yep.
Well, that's
did
part
you
of
see
the systemic plan
Yeah.
to keep those on top, and those on the bottom, on the bottom.
Did you see the New Zealand? I think it was not the prime minister, somebody in government from New Zealand. Was some guy was talking to a crowd. One of the guys in the crowd said, this whole COVID thing is not that big of a deal, so and so. And the guy said, "Be quiet." He said, "Obviously, you got your education from America."
Wow.
Let me tell you what's going on.
Wow.
This is how the world is seeing us. With the racial stuff like this, with all this,
we don't know what we're doing.
It's
something fundamental to unity.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
My one last statement would be, because I know you have other callers to be on the line. Do you think the president actually had COVID or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And the reason I know, how can I say this? Because I know people in the medical community in Washington, D.C.
Okay. Okay. Well, he seems to have recovered quickly.
Okay.
And he is sending such a false narrative about what it is and what it's about, showing no honor to people who have passed. He said he was over it in 5 days, and he was ready to kiss men and women at his town hall meeting. And I was just really concerned if he really had it at all.
You see how hard he was breathing that day?
It was killing him. And I think he's taking a risk right now. I think his body has been stressed by this. They still got him pumped up with stuff.
Yeah.
You can't convince me otherwise. Here's the problem. I know someone who has had COVID twice in the last 90 days.
Yep.
Had it,
Wow.
got through it, doing fine, created some antibodies, all that, the successive negative tests, and caught it again.
Oh, wow.
They've been trying to tell us.
And he's saying he can't catch it again. He's fine. He can kiss everybody.
He's immune.
Don't fear. Don't wear a mask. Don't be afraid. And I think that's highly irresponsible.
Well, thank you. Thank you for calling us, Ange.
All right. You
Talk
guys
to-
keep doing the great job you're doing.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
I think there's a misconception. Testing is not immunity.
Yep.
That's the first thing. Testing is not immunity. The size of your crowd is not immunity. So you can have 25 people or less if you want. It's all about breathing the same air. Does not give you immunity. May have less chance,
Right.
but not immunity. And we're walking around with this sense that, okay, I got tested on Monday.
Yep.
I'm fine. Well, no. You're not immune. You're tested.
Yep. And 2 minutes after that test.
You could catch it from somebody else.
And then they were saying sometimes you can test negative, but it takes up to 2 weeks for some people to start showing symptoms.
Some people are slow.
And you take another test a week later and you got it,
Some
but you
people
had
are
it
slow.
to just.
Some people are slow. So it's, so you have people, I caught it once, and now they're walking around taking no. And they say you can still shed the virus after you've gotten over it.
Yep.
So I don't, people ought to take this thing seriously. You shouldn't wait until, like our former governor, you catch it to publicly say, okay, I was wrong.
Yep. And Japan just let out this study, I think it was last night, where they did this whole thing about people going out to eat.
Okay.
Where most people are catching it. And they did a whole study on how germs pass from sitting next to each other versus sitting across from each other.
Sir.
And the dry air because of the cold.
Yes, sir.
They were saying if you can have a humidifier in a lot of your rooms to help kind of, get some
Keep it moving.
That's the best way, because all that dry air during the wintertime is going to cause probably another spike.
Unbelievable.
Actually, it's spiking now already. So.
It's already in 37 states.
Yeah.
we won't sit down long enough for this thing to get under control if there's a way to control it. But we've got to sit down for a minute. You know, let's talk to Alice from Philadelphia. Good morning, Alice. How are you today?
Good morning, Bishop. Good morning, Pastor
morning.
Nick. How are you two today?
Doing great. What's your comment today?
You know, one thing is scaring me. So, Bishop, I always, listen to you and remember when you say, people have their anointing. You two are mighty men of God. Pastor Lonnie, church thing. And so my calling is science. And it is so scary to me how we used to uplift and say, this country had the best scientists, the best minds, and things working. And it seems like this president goes out of his way to just deride the field and deride the scientists and the people behind it working. And, especially being a minority and a woman and trying to get young girls into the STEM fields, to see our leader just basically disrespect to me, and maybe I'm looking at it wrong, is just something I never thought would happen. It seemed like, having the brightest minds and the best scientists on your problems was something that we used to brag about.
Yeah.
Well, it's really simply stated with the present situation that we find ourselves. That is that our president stated very plainly, very early in his presidency, that he knows more than all of the experts. He said it. In his mind, he knows more than all of the experts. Why? Because he watches a lot of television. Not studying.
Yep.
He watches
So about 12 years of college, I could have just watched the YouTube video.
Yeah, he watches stuff. He watches stuff on TV, and that has made him more versed in every field, whether it's militaristic, science, politics, social, whatever it is, he knows more.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where all that comes from.
I just because like I said, it used to be a time where, you would brag about we had the best minds in the world and the best colleges and the best scientists. And, to see him do this is just...
No one smarter than he is.
Yep.
Well, I just wanted to give that perspective because it's just, like I said, just so disheartening. And
what is disheartening
all I can do
is
vote.
You never, you have to vote. You never want to give a weak person power.
Yep.
Okay.
As Denzel said in American Gangster, the loudest person in the room is the weakest person in the room.
Yep.
Yeah. I just got to keep trying to tell myself that.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
All right, talk to you now. You too.
Love the show.
Bye-bye. We've got about 2 minutes left.
Jeez.
Of course, we're having noonday service today. I'm doing a national symposium for young pastors at 11.
Yeah, I was looking for the link today.
Yeah, 11 o'clock. Invite all of our young pastors to join as we talk about the importance of getting those that you serve as shepherd leader out to vote, what your role is actually in this political and spiritual equation.
Yeah.
It's only going to be about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Myself,
Jamal Bryant,
Greg
Davis,
yeah. Who else?
A whole bunch of Freddie Haynes, John Faison Sr.
Okay.
A couple other people. They can go register at turnoutsunday.com.
Turnoutsunday.com. Now, is that today I'm doing that or tomorrow?
Let's see. They have two different pictures up here. I think it's today, the 17th. Yes, the 17th today. Yep.
Today? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. 11 o'clock today. Look forward to seeing you as we attempt to impress upon people the importance of the vote.
Yep.
One of the things that I'm going to, I only have 3 minutes, so I can't say a whole lot, but when we understand that the protest is the marketing of your complaint,
Yep.
and the vote is your push towards the change in the area that you're complaining, we will cease to stop at protesting and follow through with that. The vote is the follow through
Yep.
on the protest. And without that, we are viewed as people who are going to shout but not try to influence. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
12 o'clock today, we want to see you at our outdoor service, our drive-in service here at the Plaza in Lindenwold, New Jersey. Of course, join us all day tomorrow, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then we're back at 5:30 for our pre-discussion about 10 Times Better, our men's series, which is enormously populated by the ladies.
Yep.
And then, of course, 6 o'clock will be 10 Times Better, about 6:40 or so. We'll get back to our post-discussion, and that will make our complete day for tomorrow. Are we ready, Phil?
Yep.
For Reverend Nicholas Smith, our wonderful staff, I want you to remember faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you. I'm Bishop David G. Evans, and this has been On Point.